All right, we are back and it's time for us to look at the newspapers briefly. I'm just going to be touching on the highlights and on the top page. And I see on the Daily Nation here, the top story, of course, is Gashagua's fight back and embattled Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua yesterday personally moved to court in an 11th attempt to block the impeachment motion against him. The DP, who described the process as a choreographed political lynching designed to defeat the sovereign will of the people, also poked holes into the 11 charges facing him. This is a story well covered on page 10, and it was also the highlight on Taifa Leo. Wanasema sijui ni anguka mara 11 jamani. Lakini we continue. I see the DP denies owning 5.2 billion shilling properties as public participation and ouster bid starts. We did see that yesterday. I don't know if today wametuwekea, lakini jana kulikuwa na kijikaratasi cha kuninio either to support or go against the impeachment. And we continue to follow up on the same, but moving on, I see cast of the deputies, Communist Lumumba Institute, and the fall of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. So we have 12 vice presidents and deputy president that Kenya has had since independence. There's a feature there on page 11 that has been put. And I see Chief suffering on as MPs query 104 billion shilling UHC system cost. I see here a statement that grandma can now smile. Miss Anna Cheptonui is all smiles after as she holds her newborn grandchild, Michelle Chepngetich, at the Nakuru County Referral and Teaching Hospital yesterday after mother and baby were discharged. This is after a well-wisher footed the 7,500 bill shilling that saw Miss Cheptonui's daughter detained on Wednesday, left after delivery. Oh, very, very sad. This did happen, but then it is such a testimony, such a miracle. You know, it's what we say that sometimes we cannot really depend on the government or on our finances or on whatever. We can only depend on God and trust for his favor, because this indeed is favor. Someone just footed the bill after, of course, the reports were out there that these people have been detained. They cannot get out of hospital simply because of a 7,500 shilling bill. But now we see that somebody, a well-wisher, actually footed the bill. So this is very, very beautiful. We need more people like this who are just kind and help us even as we continue to pray for this nation. I see here doctors across the country find themselves in a frustrating and painful dilemma as healthcare professionals. They swore to provide care and save lives, yet their hands are now tied by the hospital's policies and the restrictions imposed by the new Social Health Insurance Fund. So meanwhile, MPs have questioned why a new health information system is costing the government 104.8 billion shilling, yet the one it is replacing by the defunct NHIF fund only required 700 million shilling upgrade. This is definitely a lot of questions that people are asking, and then as if this is not enough, the situation even as it is, we would expect that if they're spending this much money, then we would have a smooth transition. But no, we didn't have a smooth transition. We continue to pray, but what I believe is that whatever is hidden will definitely come to light. Still on the top page, how a lost phone exposed child porn suspect in a Kiambu daycare center. This story was covered yesterday and it is very, very sad. But we thank God that it was exposed, because there's a lady here, Teresia Wamboi, who was arraigned before court and faced grave accusations. Very, very sad. We ought to be careful where we take our children for daycare, because this was actually in the daycare. Very, very sad. And I pray that this lady just, realizes that this was really wrong. And I know she probably knows. But anyway, that's a story on page 7. These are minors who were robbed of their innocence by a lady. So it's very, very sad. German investor seeks 142 million shilling from city politician. And that's a story on page 3. Page 7, court stops Ruto's varsity funding model. I see here the High Court has temporarily suspended the new funding model for studies in universities and colleges after 3 organizations challenged it, arguing that it is unconstitutional and has created confusion in institutions of higher learning. That's a story on page 7. And on today, the DN2, I see something very interesting on The Voice today. TikTok training and new horizons. I mean, I'm a TikToker, so definitely I'm going to look at that story in more detail so that I can get to see some tips here and there of what is being talked about. But I see here, instead, the thriving post-retirement life of ex-Equity Holdings boss Mary Wamai, leading mentorship, writing, and keynote engagements, all while using social media to inspire a new generation of leaders. You know, we have a lot of evil has infiltrated TikTok and our social media handles, but we need to bring the light there. So if you can do something that actually sheds light and brings hope to people and encouragement in the midst of people trying to seek attention and, you know, the memes and all that, please do so. You just never know who you may be touching. Let me quickly go to the Standard. I see University Chaos as Court hands root of fresh blow, which is the top story covered here. A High Court order suspending implementation of a new funding formula for higher learning institution, now in its second year, has put the education of 250,000 students and future of cash-strapped public universities in limbo, potentially forcing the government back to the drawing board over its flaunted model, which is a story we have been looking at for quite some time, but you can look at that on page 4 of the Standard today. And I see page 2, protest after NHIF members moved to new health scheme. So we have that happening as well. And I see those affected say they had been denied the option of consenting to the new terms, but the ministry says the migration is legal and urged members to verify and update their profiles. Still on the top page here, we have a special report on page 10 that is on state turns a perfect storm into a crisis. What could that be? Look at that story on page 10. The world page today, that is on the international news, an eye for an eye, Israel eyes top level target, still fighting. Let's keep praying for these warring nations as well. And I see here, still on the top page, DP's options as Parliament goes flat out for views. It is increasingly looking like Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's mind is made up. But as he mulls whether to fight on, take flight, seek reconciliation, or submit to fate, Parliament today mounts an extensive public participation exercise like no other. I mean, we were just here saying yesterday that I wish this public participation would be like this for everything else that we do in this country. I mean, we are doing this big public participation because it's about impeaching someone or just, you know, for reasons best known to them. But again, why didn't we do this for the maybe Adani deal or whatever else that actually needs public participation, like maybe the finance bill before every chaos that we saw happening, and really taking key interest in what people really think. I mean, this has just shown and revealed to us that public participation could be something that the government takes seriously. So we hope that even in the future things that may happen, that we will be having this same thing taking place. But anyway, allow me to quickly go to the sports until Ancelotti holds hands up as real long unbeaten run ends in life. So Italians say criticism of his team was well deserved after the loss to Lille. And I see page 31, hue and cry as FKF presidential aspirants raise rigging claims. And coming to the Business Daily today, I see M-Copper reveals 5.2 billion shilling cost of tracing defaulters. So tribunal allows Fintech to write 388 million shilling off. KRA accuses firm of tax avoidance. So 47,625 being the number of customers M-Copper regards as hardcore defaulters. We have many defaulters in our nation. You can be sure of that. I think I would think twice before maybe doing such a business and you know, saying, okay, guys, you can take loans. They will take the loans, but I don't know how well they're going to pay. Allow us to see the last word today. By Russell Simmons, an American entrepreneur, writer, and record executive. He says that if you wake up deciding what you want to give versus what you're going to get, you become a more successful person. In other words, if you want to make money, you have to help someone else make money. It's the principle of he who gives gets back. So definitely we ought to be more focused on what we can give every single day when we wake up, because that is what attracts the blessings in our lives. Yeah, did I just spiritualize a quote? I definitely did. But anyway, we've come to the end of our newspaper review, and it is time for us to look at the video of the day. Let's see what today holds for us.